Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Business Matters, the Broomfield Chamber of Commerce video podcast. I'm Pat Monticelli, your host. I am the Director of Membership and Marketing for the Broomfield Chamber. We do these podcasts to bring you the latest information about opportunities and challenges in the local business community. And most recently, we've been using these podcasts as an opportunity to bring you as much information as we can about the COVID-19 situation and how it's affecting local businesses. Joining me today is Angela Atkinson, the director of the North Metro SBDC. Angela, thanks for being here today.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be here.
You know, we have talked a lot on this podcast about different ways that COVID-19 affects people, affects businesses. We really wanted to speak with you today because there are so much information that's coming out about how employees can get help, how employers can get help, businesses. There's just all this information coming at people. It can be a little overwhelming. Are you seeing that?
Yes, absolutely. It's, I mean, on every different level, on the side of lenders, on government entities, the SBA, our institution that provides consulting, and of course on the small business owner side is trying to prioritize and sift all of this information that's coming all at once. So it's the name of the game right now is overwhelm.
And we'll talk a little bit in a few minutes about how people can sort of manage the overwhelm. But let's get into a little bit of some of the biggest, most prominent but programs that are coming out right now. We can start, I think, talking about the Personal Paycheck Protection Program.
Yeah, so there's two major funding streams coming down from the SBA. There are other products that would apply to probably a smaller subset of your constituents or listeners, which are if you already have an existing SBA loan. There's some really favorable products available, but the main ones that we've been asked about is the PPP, or the Paycheck Protection Program, or the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, EIDL program. So I'm actually, I'm going to actually start with the EIDL, the EIDL, if I can, just because it may apply to more of your listeners, and it's actually something that the SBA is really encouraging small business owners to apply for.
Great.
So the EIDL has been around for a while. It was originally designed for localized disasters, so floods and fires, so very geographically localized. That program and that loan processing, that loan process has been adapted. Never before has there been a biological disaster that's been so global, and every single county in the United States is going to be eligible for this assistance. But it's a package where if you have under 500 employees, and if you've been affected by the disaster, you're very likely eligible for this loan. It's 4% up to, or sorry, 3.75% for businesses. Nonprofits can apply at 2.75% interest. But the real thing that has gotten the attention of the population over the last couple of weeks, since the CARES Act was ratified by Congress, they've added this piece to the EIDL loan, which is apply for the loan, and whether or not you get approved, you become eligible for what's called the EIDL Advance, or a grant. So it's a streamlined application process. On the last, it takes maybe 30 minutes to fill out the application. And on the last page, it asks, are you interested in being considered for this advance? This is a grant. So it's up to $10,000, does not need to be repaid. And the Treasury is sending checks, they say, within 3 days of the submittal of the application. So it's a very favorable loan, but even more favorable, obviously, is this outright grant to help small business owners pay the rent, because that's, you know, April came due and people are like, how do I pay utilities and pay these emergency economic needs, and this grant serves that purpose.
And how does the personal paycheck protection loan or act program, I should say, fall into how does it work with the EIDL loans?
Correct. So they're companion funding streams. They do talk to each other because they're both run through the SBA. What I'll talk about are the differences. So the PPP is actually, you would go to your lending institution to go through that application process. It's a fully guaranteed SBA-backed loan, however. So that's how the SBA is involved in it. So you go through your bank, you complete an application. Today is the first day that the PPP is available to small businesses and sole proprietors. And essentially, the spirit of this legislation, Congress wanted to give small businesses the funds to be able to rehire any of the folks that they had to lay off as due to the disaster. So they wanted to inject some capital, some cash, some working capital into small businesses to bring those employees back. So the principle of this, of the philosophy, that kind of principle of this legislation is to bring people back onto the payroll. So how it works is there's a formula. They want to look at your payroll last year, and they'll take an average monthly sum of your payroll cost. They double it and more, so it's 250% or 2.5 times that average monthly payroll. That's your loan amount. That's your maximum loan. And what the PPP says is expend those funds over an 8-week period on payroll and a few extra costs, and that loan is forgiven. So in effect, it becomes a loan convertible to an outright grant if you're able to bring your payroll back to a level that's commensurate with what it was last year.
And that sounds like a great opportunity for businesses, because we know that businesses have had to furlough people, because especially small businesses that are walk-in, restaurants, shops, things like that. And it's not limited to those, but obviously there are a lot of companies that have faced that problem.
Well, and it helps the workers, right? It helps the employees.
Absolutely.
It gets them back. You know, some folks have said, hey, my business is still closed. I don't know, if I, and that is one of that's how the SBDC can help, is we can talk you through like strategies for using the EIDL grant as a companion to the PPP. You can apply for both, by the way. So it takes a little bit more time with the PPP to get approved compared to that grant. But yeah, it's a way of being able to just re-energize and ramp up businesses. And you still could use your employees, even if you're not open, for working on your website, or any kind of different product development, or it's really, they leave the strategizing of how you might use that money up to the employer. So it's just to try to, in a kind of accelerated fashion, re-energize the small business community.
Right, right. There are other loans available, not just the two we've talked about. There are other opportunities out there as well, correct?
So yeah, so there's other SBA loans for sure. So there's 7A, the microloans, the 504s. There's a couple of micro lenders that I want to speak to. So Colorado Enterprise Fund has products, and they're working to roll out new products that are for small businesses who may have been turned away from banks before, et cetera. They're really geared for those small businesses. So I'd encourage people to reach out to CEF. They serve Broomfield County, and this area, they serve the state. There's also Colorado Lending Source, which is also a micro lender. There's also, it's really important, I think, for folks to be looking at local grants. So Broomfield just came out with a new source of economic support for small businesses.
Right.
That just rolled out in this last week that City Council approved those monies. So small businesses should be, reaching out to the economic development folks at Broomfield to ask about some of those small business grants.
Right, that enhanced Broomfield modification is a great opportunity for a lot of people. Now, so we've talked about all these opportunities for funding and and ways to do applications. As we talked about right as we started this interview, it can be overwhelming. I'm sitting in a position where I try to put out information to members, and it just comes at me so fast that it gets confusing. And I'm sure for people on the other end, it gets confusing. How can the SBDC help people cut through the confusion and get started?
Well, we're coaches as much as we are. We have small business backgrounds in a variety of different industry areas, but we also know that owning a small business is a roller coaster ride, even in the best of times, right?
Right.
And we're practiced in what's the next right step for you, breaking it down in increments. Like, okay, can you do this today? What does tomorrow look like? So really helping, because it all gets jumbled, and sometimes when fear, takes a seat at the, when fear takes a seat at the table, it can be confusing. And you lose a sense of, well, what's important and what's the priority here. So what we do is we keep ample space. You get an hour, it's all of our consulting is free. So, but we break it into 1 hour sessions, just sometimes being able to talk through, like, I have this challenge, I have this, I have kids at home, I have all of these things. It's just like, okay, well, let's break it down into pieces, and, so that the small business owners feel emotionally supported, as well as technically supported as they need it, whatever that moment demands.
If folks need some assistance and they want to reach out to the SBDC, what's the first step? How do they get a hold of a coach and start the process?
So we are located at Front Range Community College, is our host institution and partner, which is of course closed. So our physical offices are closed, and we're all at home. So you can go to our website, which is northmetrosbdc.com. And there's a big button there, which is make your appointment, make an initial appointment. And then you go online and you can choose a particular consultant that you'd like to work with. We've got the bios there, or you can pick the first available time. And then, then you book your appointment, and either by Zoom or Skype or phone, we reach out to you that way.
Is there anything else I'm missing? Anything else that you wanted to mention about the work that you're doing right now, which is so critical for everybody?
Well, I mean, this is what I would say, which I think is common sense, but it's changing every single day. So it's incumbent upon all of us to stay as educated and as well resourced as we can to really build the resiliency. And I don't want to be a Pollyanna about this situation at all, but it does provide some opportunities for businesses to look at it, at possibly reinventing a bit, or adapting to what's going to be a new business environment. I mean, the one thing that's going to happen is it's going to be different when we emerge from all of this. So, how can your business adapt to that new environment? If you need to make a pivot and look at your business model and being more responsive to external criteria and events that you have no control over, well, now's the time, right, to be looking at that. Maybe you should take a look at your business strategy, at your business plan, and make some changes. And so, we're able to help you on that end too. We've got a lot of great strategic level thinkers as part of our consulting staff. So I would just say, hang in there, reach out. There's no dumb question. And we got your back. We understand. We're small business owners ourselves.
All right. Angela, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. We really appreciate it.
And I'm happy to do so. Thank you.
And don't forget that the Broomfield Chamber has a lot of resources for you as well. You can go to broomfieldchamber.com. That's our website. We have a lot of information about the COVID-19 shutdowns and restrictions and opportunities for you to get information and resources. We also have our Broomfield Area Business Strong Facebook group. Just go to Facebook and look up that group name. You'll find our page there. You can join that page as a business, as an individual. Businesses can post information about products and offerings that they still have, those that are still open. They can post updates about when they'll reopen, and our local community can find information about businesses there as well. And we've also got this podcast and all of our others on our YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com and look up Broomfield Chamber of Commerce. You'll find this video and a lot more. Until next time, this is Business Matters. I'm Pat Monticelli. Have a great day.